start about flowers and a salon. So translated in English, flowers and nature. This is Marcelo asked me to talk about. Before I talk with you more about the company, let me first introduce to the women. So because they have names, these are our producers, they're smallholder farmers. So let's start with Simone, Patricia, Marcia, Nea, Priscilla, Adriana. Adriana actually was as well in the Cup of Excellence, and she was one of my finalists as well with the 88 score. So very proud as well being a smallholder farmer producing as a female, being recognized. We have Maggie, Elsa, and Pam. So they are not all of the female coffee farmers, but I thought it's important to actually give them a name. Yeah, so to make it as well much more personal. When Marcelo, it is, asked me to be part of this event and talk about flowers in action, and especially being part of an event which talks about sustainability, transparency, and women in coffee. I was super excited because it's not only close to my heart, but as well it's the core values of 23 degrees, and really pleased to hear as well what Joe's doing, and obviously what our farmers are doing, and I believe you guys are all interested, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So, but let me take as well the chance thanking Marcelo for actually opening up the supply chain, because this is really important. Without you, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't have our farmers here, we would have been able to actually meet this amazing women and bring this coffee over, and hopefully bring you guys to enjoy. So, let me just tell a little bit about 23 coffee roasters. As Sarah mentioned, we are quite a small or young company and a small company, and we founded the company 2 years ago. I myself don't come out of the coffee industry, but really great talents around me. And I think as well, when you come out into the industry as an outsider, and from the background I'm coming as well, supply chain and finance, you probably see the world a little bit different, and you probably pinpoint the challenges very fast. So what we have set out is to as well be a really responsible corporate citizen. And in our mission, we want to create sustainable and equitable coffee supply chain. Do you hear me? Sorry. Did you not hear me the whole first 5 minutes? Do you have to repeat? I'm very sorry. So in this pursuit, and we talked as well earlier about certifications, it was for us very important as well to give consumer trust, because certification is one way obviously of spending money, and our farmers didn't really tell us how much they spend on certifications. But on the other hand, it's as well one way of showing or getting consumer trust. And we went about this, and we looked at different ways, and we decided to go for certified B Corporation. So it's probably one of the younger certifications out in the market. But we are really proud to be amongst some other companies which are standing for the highest standards in social and environmental impact. So one of our objectives, what I said, is we want to build an equitable coffee value chain. And one part is being equitable means as well we have to include women coffee farmers. And therefore, a really important part of our sourcing strategy is to have to buy from these women coffee farmers. We are committed to buy at least 50% of the coffee. So year to date, I'm very proud, we have bought 68%. So in another way, I found this quote, and I think it's a nice leading introduction as well. Why is it important to buy from coffee farmers, and the connection, how can we reduce inequality, and what does it actually mean to create equality in terms of economic and social impact. This is a quote from Kofi Annan, and it says, gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is the precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance. So we all talk about gender equality, but often it is, what is it? It's a big word, but what is it actually, what these women coffee farmers facing at origin? And when I say as well, at origin, coffee is grown like 23 degrees north and 23 degrees south of the equator. And these are a lot of what the IMF fund as well as still labels as the developing countries. So equality has a very different meaning as well, or status still, what we do in Australia or Europe, for that matter. So what I have listed here, and for those who don't have a good eyesight, I will read some of these constraints here. So there are about 25 million of smallholder farmer families. So the statistics from Fairtrade often used in the world that they produce about 8% of coffee in the world. So as part usually of a family, there's as well women. So this is a nice graph from different sources, and I think Sarah mentioned before the ICO. This is as well from ICO and FAO statistics. Yeah? It's just a little bit adapted. So in the center, so we have the woman as part of our coffee growing family. And they have always been involved in coffee growing, in coffee harvesting, in sorting, processing. And funny enough, or one of the facts which I found was that about 70% of women, they actually contribute to the harvesting of the coffee. So the chance that you had earlier the coffee, which you were drinking, was that you had 70% probability that this coffee was actually harvested by women. So in contrast, what you have here, however, have unfortunately very unequal pay. So when you go working in your daily work, you receive remuneration. So these women, as part of the family gets the income, but as a woman, they often don't have financial control over this. And we always make the assumption in saying, well, as a unit, you would have the same priorities as to make a decision where to spend your money. But it's not necessarily the case. So they contribute to the labor, they don't necessarily receive financial resources. With no financial resources means you don't have any bargaining power within your immediate community. So then another interesting fact which we found is that about only 20% of women own land or co-own land with their husbands. So as an effect, what this has is, if you want to go to a bank and loan money, well, if you don't have assets, guess what? No credit. So there's a whole causal chain of how a small proportion of not having ownership and not having direct access for your income that you receive, what implications it actually has in your whole standing within the family community, but as well within cooperatives. So I think just to give you a small context of why we are actually deliberately buying from women coffee farmers at least 50% of our purchases. So now let me give this a bit more context. What are we doing with the women coffee farmers? Flores Emassao, or Flowers in Action. So last year in June, we talked, before June, we talked to Marcel and said, Marcel, we really find it important to know our farmers. In order to tell the story credible, we want to, not that we don't trust you, but nothing goes by a personal relationship. And we asked him, can you help us organizing such a trip? And so off we went, and so we went as well and visited Hacienda Piñol, and we, how Pedro's father, Jean, said, we arrived as strangers and left as friends. But also as part of the trip, and this was a little bit of a surprise to us, came as well, Marcelo said, oh, just heard from the Uppers Cooperative, which Marcelo has been working for many years. The women of the cooperative, they just founded an initiative, Floors Marcel. Tina, I don't know really what it is about, but I think this is up here. So why don't you go? Okay. So mind we did this trip totally on ourselves, right? So there was no guidance or something. So we went and visited the Uppers Cooperative. Just a little. So this is the map of Brazil, just to give a little bit as well of geographic perspective. São Gonçalo do Sapucaí is more in the south of Minas Gerais. So as we heard, all of our Pedro also comes from Minas Gerais. It's one of the biggest coffee producing states, or is the coffee producing state of Brazil. About 50% of Brazilian coffee is produced there. So the cooperative, we didn't really know what to expect. We came from a wonderful one farm family heritage, which has a lot of great technology, a lot of heritage in terms of how to protect the environment, employ employees. We came to a totally different setting. So we talk now smallholder farmers. So when you think about smallholder farmers, it can range from 1 bag, 2 bags, like in Papua New Guinea, subsistence farming, or smallholder farmers in this context in Uppers, what meant they were producing about 100 to one of the biggest farmers, they have 500 bags of coffee. So that's their income source. And the Uppers Cooperative, I wanted to say a little bit about the cooperative because I think it's quite a progressive one for what I understand is happening in the coffee world. So they were founded in 2006, and one of their founding imperatives was that jointly we can achieve more. So it was built on collaboration. They didn't work on a zero-sum society, they were working on a win-win situation. They were saying, if you do well, if you know how to produce good coffee, if we can get educated, if we get visibility, others will do well. And this is probably as well a very good story what Marcelo can tell by having brought like an Uppers blend from all the coffee farmers to the Australian market as such. So they are also very progressive in the sense that they don't only look at our producing for quality and improving productivity, they also look at how can I look after the environment. So they have initiated projects. They have looked at how can I additionally generate income streams for my family, like with beekeeping, for instance. And what they have done is they actually gave memberships as well to the women of the coffee families. And I understand it's not normal for every cooperative. Often cooperatives just have one membership per family, and this is often the man in the family. So where here, women, they are equal parts of this cooperative. And as I said, the underlying foundation of the cooperative was they want to further every single member of this cooperative, which means as well the women. And this is how the whole project, Floors and ourselves, started. So with the objective to really create opportunities for women in coffee and make them visible. So these were simple words what these women chose. We have been always part of the coffee family, but we actually want to be seen, we want to be recognized. We have great coffee, we have great talent, we put much more dedication in than the men into the coffee. We want to have our own project. So we had the chance spending 3 days with these amazing women, walked their farms, were invited to their families, in their homes, and especially heard their incredible stories. So let me tell you a little bit how Floors and Marcel is working. So, first of all, this picture I think is an amazing picture. It symbolizes what it actually stands for. So this is Maddie with her husband Gilson, and Gilson's actually giving her the coffee, just from the drying process, in her hands. So really, it's almost like a symbol, sharing their work and giving her the recognition for this. So under this project, Flores de Massao, the women now, for the last year, it was the first year, the inception, they separated their coffee from that of the men. So it's not like done after the harvest, it's actually, I pick my own coffee and I choose my own picking method. So when I say picking method, so you have like large industrial machines who can harvest quantities of coffee. You can do like strip picking. Is that gone? So I'm already over time. So.
The battery is flat, I guess, so it needs to be charged.
Oh, I think Mariana has a spare one. Yeah, I have a.
Okay.
If it helps me repeat.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So I try to speak up. Please shout out if you can't hear me or there are seats in the front. So, but when I talk about picking method, then I think it's probably quite worthwhile to emphasize this. So on the bigger estates, you have as well machine harvesting, and which is really necessary because otherwise you wouldn't get all the coffee in the world which we consume. Yeah? So, and everybody loves the notion as well of hand harvesting, but it's normally. Is that better? But it's normally as well out of necessity because equipment is expensive. For smaller farmers, it's just not fit, and bringing them over. And again, thanks to Marcelo in a direct trade manner, really Marcelo facilitating the logistics. So for hopefully ongoing years, and in the spirit as well of furthering every women within that cooperative, within Flores de Massao, we hope that as well they will create like a blend, an uppers blend, to actually represent the work as Flores de Massao instead of single, separate farmers. So, what is the implication of this? Well, we did direct trade with them, so we actually bought the coffee from the women, and we heard stories that for the first time, these women got their first bank account, their very first own bank account in their own name. So this is where the proceeds are going into. So which makes us super happy, but as well understanding not only will it increase their household income because of the micro lots and the additional pricing they're paying, but it does increase their bargaining power within the household. And they can decide where their finances is going through. And fair well knowing, as a woman, you not necessarily spend it all at the hairdresser. You probably 90% goes back into the wealth of the family, into nutrition, food, education. So what it is great as well is the women become better standing within the cooperative, like Adriana, having made it to the Cup of Excellence into the finalists. This is a big representation as well and recognition within other cooperative members, and elections coming up soon, so my bet will be for Adriana being the head of the cooperative for the next years. So what does it also mean is with the decision power where to put money into, it can go as well into fertilizers, into better production, and increasing again productivity and quality. So this whole cycle actually gives a good view on what does it actually mean buying from women and reducing inequality. Yeah? So, and maybe I can tell you one or two stories before I close on the women behind, and with some of the pictures we took. So that's Lucy Mayer. So all her friends call her Maybe. And Maybe is how she calls herself Jack of all trades, how Australians would say. So she's always there, always happy to help. So she actually built together with her husband this purpose-made sun-raised bed for drying coffee. So this is a picture which she sent me afterwards. Smallholder farmers don't have all the machinery for actually sorting their coffee, for sizing, for density, for colors. So she sits there and sorts all this coffee by hand to add additional value to her microlots. So these are her little microlots as well. And this is how farmers, they actually mark what coffee is when it has been planted to really have some traceability. Or maybe one more thing to Mary. Apart from all these beautiful pictures, the story of Mary was quite memorable because so she got married to Nielsen. And Nielsen comes out of a coffee farming family, so naturally she moved into that family. Naturally, as many other women, she fitted in, so she does the harvesting, she looks after the children, so they have 2 boys and 1 daughter. But in harvesting time, she as well puts the lunch boxes together and sells this to other farmers in the area to supplement income for the family. So, but never did she have the chance having her own bank account. So this was one of the ladies, for the first time now, she has her own bank account. So when I asked Nielsen, so is this Mary's coffee? Absolutely, he says. And I said, will she get the money? Said, yes. So she smiled and told me that she got her first bank account. And she actually plans to get a driver's license. So I can only speculate her age, but they live really remote. So not being able to drive, it's a really kind of, as well, limitation on your mobility. So she plans to put some funds towards a driver's license, so which made us even more smart. So that's Mary's story, and maybe one more from Marcia. Marcia and her husband, they built up their farm from the ground up. So they have the smallest farm, and they're probably as well the smallest output so far. They're super proud and very welcoming. So they invited us into their home, and this little device here is how in Brazil you roast coffee. So it's put about 1 kilo of coffee in this device, and you spin it over a coal, and then comes out roasted coffee. It doesn't even taste bad. So it's a way of supplementing income for the family as well. Or like a little veggie garden as well, supplementing income for the family. But one of the impressive things about Marcia, you can see she always has a smile like larger than life. It's really, it really captivates you. So she went into a competition about the fastest, who harvests coffee fastest, and it is with a rake, raking coffee. And she harvested in 30 minutes 108 kilos. So she won hands down the competition. So 108 kilos, that's amazing. So these are 3 60-liter bags of coffee, but normally it's a person picking a harvest maybe 5 to 8 in a day. So amazing story, and she's an inspiration as well for her kids. So the daughter, she wants to stay in coffee, so no challenge with succession planning. So she already rented a plot of land, and her son is going to study agronomy. So and this was us cupping all these beautiful coffees. It's still a bit green, but they wanted to show us. They were really proud, and then we recupped them. So hopefully in March we all can publicly, so there will be a public cupping session, so obviously you're invited. And yeah, thanks again myself for bringing us all together, and yeah, being really passionate about coffee as so many here. Thank you.